Coming up on The Disturbance, Sam Darnold is about to get baked by Baker Mayfield because, as we all know, Baker Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback week number 1 of this upcoming National Football League season. The mystery is gone. I'll tell you why, and we'll dive into why the Carolina Panthers have decided to bring 2 mediocre quarterbacks together from the 2018 draft. I've got my thoughts on that, progressive insurance commercials by Baker Mayfield, and we're even going to bring up Adam Gase in this one. I've got all of that, and trust me, a whole lot more coming up on The Big Show today.
Live and on tape from the heart of Silicon Valley, this is The Disturbance, hosted by Dave Daba. Now to the host, who can't stop ripping on players, coaches, and unbelievably bad front office management, Dave Daba.
It is super late night on a Thursday, July 14th of the year 2022. I'm Dave Daba, and thanks so much for tuning into The Disturbance today. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and like the show and subscribe to the show and tell all of your friends about the show, whether or not if you like it or dislike it. We want to hear from you. That being said, a big show for you. We're going to talk about Sam Darnold. We're going to talk, of course, about Baker Mayfield. Now, about a week ago, this deal went down where Baker Mayfield took a pay cut to be freed from the city of Cleveland, and he is now what I would call the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule, the head coach, as well as their general manager, as well as their owner, has basically come out and said this is an open competition. It's like sort of an open competition between 2 junkyard quarterbacks at this point. But I will say this, if I had to pick between San Clemente, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield, I'm starting Baker Mayfield 9 out of 10 times. I have a lot of reasons why. And as you all know, I'm not in any way on any sort of Baker Mayfield bandwagon, other than to say, I think Baker Mayfield has done a brilliant job being a quarterback in the National Football League off the field. Just think about all of those great progressive insurance commercials. He was also willing to be just completely dressed up as a human highlighter in this particular Hulu commercial. Look, Baker Mayfield and his team that surrounds him have done a great job with the brand of Baker Mayfield. There's no doubt about that. Some reports have him making well over $10 million extra a year just on endorsement deals. Now that Baker Mayfield has left his Cleveland Browns stadium house behind, the real question is, what will progressive insurance commercials do next? Will they simply uproot and move to Carolina, or will they cut ties entirely with Baker Mayfield? Okay, so we'll have to keep an eye on what happens there. That being said, when you look at these 2 quarterbacks, Sam Darnold, and you look at Baker Mayfield, they've had very tough starts to their careers. But there is clearly an edge that goes to Baker Mayfield, because let's not forget who the Cleveland Browns were before Baker Mayfield got there. I think there's one thing that you can say about Baker Mayfield as a quarterback, which is he has a lot of grit. He's one of those almost throwback quarterbacks who, when you watch him play, you sort of have to forget about the statistics. When you watch the football sail 20 yards over an intended wide receiver and end up in the comfort of a defender's arms so they can cradle it all the way back for a pick 6, you still got to love the guts of Baker that he brings on the field. That is something that you do not get with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold will do the exact same thing, will make the exact same bad pass that Baker Mayfield makes, and he'll turn around and do it again 3 plays later. The problem with Sam Darnold, if we're going to get into specifics, if we're going to talk about mechanics, if we're going to talk about the fact that Sam Darnold can't help but throw off his back foot, I'm telling you, go watch the video of Sam Darnold, San Clemente's very own throw off his back foot. I only bring up San Clemente because I was just in San Clemente a little earlier in the week. That being said, when you look at Baker and you look at his overall performance in the National Football League, and if you were to compare the stats between Baker Mayfield, what you end up with Baker Mayfield is a QBR rating throughout his career at 87.8, which just puts him in the middle of the road in terms of what a starting quarterback is expected to be in the National Football League. Now, I know in 2020, he had a hell of a season. He had 26 touchdowns. He had 8 interceptions, a QBR of 95.9, which was his best season in the National Football League. From there, things have sort of gone in the wrong direction. 17 picks, or 17 touchdowns last season, 13 picks, and a quarterback rating of 83.1. But the point is, he lost the Cleveland Browns, not last year, but he lost the Cleveland Browns in 2019 when he pulled a Jameis Winston and he threw 22 touchdowns against 21 picks. At least Jameis Winston, when he had a similar statistic, threw for nearly 5,000 yards. Now, I pulled up some interesting stats around Baker Mayfield and how Baker Mayfield was actually better without OBJ. And so what does that tell you? Well, that can tell you a couple different things. One, that can tell you that there was just not any chemistry with OBJ between the quarterback and the wide receiver that sometimes is very important. Just ask Aaron Rodgers. Just ask Aaron Rodgers about 4 or 5 weeks into the upcoming season how much he misses a particular Las Vegas Raider that abandoned him for the Raiders. I'm saying chemistry matters between a quarterback and a wide receiver. A quarterback has to have faith that the wide receiver is going to bail him out when he can. In Baker Mayfield's world, though, it's sort of the other way around. Yeah, he's sort of throwing up like pop flies, and he's expecting the wide receivers to come down with passes in a way that's a little bit different than some of the other quarterbacks. That being said, an OBJ is a very precise player, and it sort of is. You sort of think about Tyreek Hill and how precise he is in running his patterns. Sort of similar. And that's why I think Tyreek Hill is going to really struggle with Tua, who's not necessarily as precise as a Patrick Mahomes is. I'm not saying they're not going to find ways to get Tyreek Hill the football, but it's just going to be not as precise. And that is the big difference between, and that was probably the problem between OBJ and Baker Mayfield. Now, what happened in the locker room, what happened outside of the locker room, those are all different stories. And those also have an impact. But when the ball is snapped and money is on the line, you don't necessarily need to love the guy that's throwing you the ball. You just need to trust him. And there was clearly a lack of trust between those two. So that's what happened in Cleveland. And I don't want to hear anything about Baker Mayfield. He was injured last year and all this other stuff. Everybody's injured in the National Football League. Super quick. Sam Darnold. San Clemente High's Sam Darnold, who was ruined by this guy. That's right, Adam Gase. Just check out the scary eyes of Adam Gase in this picture. How would you like to be drafted and know that is going to be your head coach in the National Football League. That's the guy you're going to be working with when you saw that mugshot. So then Adam Gase sort of grew up a little bit and got rid of his scary eyes, and he went out and he said, well, how does Aaron Rodgers look? And so he entered his best Aaron Rodgers and came up with this particular look, a much better look for Adam Gase, a coach who went 1-15, 1-15 in his second year with the New York Football Jets, and effectively destroyed the career of a once young and promising Sam Darnold. He took Sam Darnold and he made him significantly worse than he was when he was drafted into the National Football League with the third pick. I'm just saying, Adam Gase just flat out, and I said this at the time and you could see it, when you get drafted by a team, that can make all of the difference. Very few people can work their way out of a bad system into a better system. So when you have a bad coach who is doing a bad job with a quarterback, it shows. Now, Adam Gase was known as like the quarterback whisperer. And that certainly had the opposite effect on a trail of quarterbacks between Miami and, of course, New York. Darnold's stats are just, there's not much to say. It's a 76.9 quarterback rating. I mean, basically what he should be doing now is broadcasting on FS1 or CBS Sports Network or on Peacock. That's where Sam Darnold's stats, believe you me, he belongs. But he's just got this big arm. He's a nice guy. You want to see him succeed, and you're hoping that a change of pace would do him a lot of good. And that did not happen. 9 touchdown passes, 13 picks, 71.9% quarterback rating. So when this deal was done to bring Baker Mayfield into the Carolina Panthers den, if you will, a quarterback den, when this deal was done and the owner was able to get Baker Mayfield to give back like $5 million, and then he was able to get the Cleveland Browns to pony up another 10, 11 million. So in effect, the owner's only really paying like $4 million, $4 to $5 million for Baker Mayfield for 1 year. That's just a brilliant move when you look at who you currently have in your quarterback den in Carolina. Look, Baker is a gamer. He's gonna win some games for you. He's gonna lose some games for you. He's gonna ruffle some feathers, but he's gonna bring some swagger to the worst offensive line. Excuse me. Let me be fair about this. The second worst offensive line in the National Football League last year. That is the room that Baker Mayfield is walking into. All right. Thanks so much for tuning into the Disturbance today. Do check out our big sports website at disturbance.live. For the Disturbance, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing week.
The Disturbance is a production of the Mighty Rip Podcast Network. For more witty, 100% independent sports coverage, check out our big website at mighty.rip. Okay, go ahead and kill the music now.